Okay, this is the last main section of packing with llamas in the backcountry, and this is one of the first questions people ask me is, what do you do with them when you're not hiking? Well, what you do is you put them out on a picket system. So I now send people out with two different kinds of picket systems. So one is what we call sack of rocks, and this is a feed sack, and you put a couple of big rocks in it, this size, but you need more than just one. And this is basically an anchor. So now the llamas have this connector line. It's connected to the halter and then back down here. And if it has enough weight in it, offers enough resistance, most of the llamas don't test it. The really nice thing about this is that it's if there's rocks in your camp, that's really great. But then when the llama eats down an area, and most of the places you find in the backcountry don't have this much grass, the grass is sparser, all you have to do is pick this up and move it on over 20, 30 feet, and bada boom, you've got a new place for them to eat that's very easy, very portable. Now, the most important thing about this is you have to put big rocks in it. If you put small and medium rocks, they will fall out. The llama will pull on it a little bit. A couple rocks fall out, and they go, oh, hey, it just got lighter. Then they pull on it a little bit more, and because llamas are browsers, they love to just browse around as much as they can. So if you don't put enough rocks in it, it's not a very good anchor. It's just a sack dragging along on the ground. But you don't have to worry if that does happen. Generally speaking, dragging this sack across the ground, it's going to snag on something, and then they will be anchored. It's just that if they're walking through brush or through the trees or something, there won't be enough food there for them to eat. So that's number one. It's these red and blue sacks. The second, and this is the kind of old style that I've used, is these are dog anchors, and you just screw them into the ground a little bit at an angle, just like a tent peg, and put them into the ground, and you have your ground line, which is generally about 50 or 60 feet. So just imagine that we're down there a bit, and you make that taut, try and get them in all the way up to the little ring right here. There's snaps on the end of the line, snaps onto here, and then there are anchor points on this ground line. Well, I'm not going to take it all apart, but there's anchor points that are little loops that are tied in, and that's where you put the llama. So you put the llama on a little anchor point right there, and then they still have a nice big area. The reason I send two out is that sometimes you can be in two different types of systems for picketing them. Sometimes you can be in an area, you just camp there. It's a nice, really nice, lush meadow, and there's no rocks around. Or you've got to walk hundreds of yards to find rocks, and you haul them back. And whereas in those type of situations, these dog screws work really, really well. Sometimes you'll be camped in areas that are rockier, or the ground is kind of sandy. And in those types of places, either you can't get the screw to go in far enough because it's just all this broken granite underneath the topsoil, or it's sandy and they will just pull out. The llamas will just pull with just a mediocre amount of resistance, and it pulls them out. Again, you don't have to worry about your llama running off necessarily, because if they're dragging a big picket line across an area, again, it's going to snag on something. It doesn't take much to snag them. So to add these little feed sacks here, so that you have an option, a second option on how you put your animals out, it doesn't add that much weight to them. some of the things you have to think about when you get your big long picket line out here is that there are no snags in the way. The most common snags are little saplings that are about this big. If the llama, they like to browse, and so they're constantly moving. If you're watching these guys behind me, they're constantly moving. You come up, make believe this is a little sapling. They'll come up and they'll wrap around and they'll wrap around and wrap around and wrap around until I've had them where their heads are down in the ground. If their head is down on the ground, they're not eating. They're not getting any nourishment. So they have to it has to be snag free, and then obviously you just have to make there's different spots on the rope for anchors. You just have to make sure you don't pick two that are only 6 or 7 feet apart, because this is about a 7 foot rope. So anywhere from 5 to 7 feet will be the lengths of these. You don't want them to be able to wrap up each other. Okay? So, people are always asking me, well, how do I get them watered? How many times a day do I have to take my llamas to water? I don't take my llamas to water. I don't worry about them drinking on the trail. Occasionally, if somebody's thirsty, Big Hunk, he is a drinker, and he is quite often my lead llama. So I'll let him drink if he wants. They decide that they'd rather eat the grass, and they're not thirsty. Llamas are camelids. They're of the camelid family. They're very low consumers of water. So I send out these collapsible dog bowls, and you will put these out, and a Big Hunk, the most he's ever had is about 3, maybe 4 full ones for a whole day. So this is probably, I don't know, maybe this is a liter and a half. It's not that big. And so a gallon of water for a llama, that goes a long ways. And most of my llamas drink less. They might drink 2 quarts a day. Just all depends on how hard they're working, how hot it is, just like with humans. It's real important, though, that when you put these bowls with water out for them, you don't put it inside the radius of their line here. Otherwise, what will happen as they're going around browsing, and they're dragging this rope, it'll get underneath here and flip it over. I've had them sometimes flip them all. They do a 360, and I come back to check them in a half hour, go, darn, that llama. Just finish that off really fast. So I fill it up again, don't move it, come back in a half an hour, it's empty again. Next thing you know, you're coming back and you're putting water in. Llama's not drinking it, they're spilling it. So, and then you also want to put in your personal gear is a plastic bucket, a collapsible plastic or nylon bucket, so that you don't have to take these down to the lake or over to the stream and bring them back one at a time. Also, you should have it for your general camp use anyway, for bringing your personal water up to camp. Also, they're great for filtering water. Hang it on a tree, a bucket of water on a tree, let it settle for about 15 minutes, and then pump from about half to 2/3 from the bottom, and it'll save your little filter that you're using by not sucking up the dirt out of the stream or out of the lake. It makes your filter last way longer, and you don't have to clean it as often. So a 1 gallon to 2 gallon collapsible bucket, hardware stores, REI, all these sporting places, they usually have them. And then also you will find that you'll get frisbees. So these are for feeding the llamas their pellets. Also, they can be great camp toys. Also, if you're going to start a fire, they're really good getting your fire going. So now, llamas will do anything for pellets. Oh, look at this guy. All of a sudden, he is Mr. Friendly. He loves pellets. Remember, they have no top incisors, so you can feed them pellets all day long out of your hand, and they're not going to bite you. But remember, llamas will do anything for pellets. They love pellets. And this is if your llamas do have, one of them or both of them happen to get away from you, this is how you catch them. Once you find out where they are, once you see them, you can do one of two things. You can put a little bit of pellets in the bowl, and you make that noise, and they'll come right up to you. And once they do that, they come up to you, then you grab the little strap. You don't grab for the halter. Llamas are head shy, generally speaking. So this is how you catch them. Chase them, it's like trying to chase a deer in the forest. You'll never catch them. But if you lure them in with pellets, then they'll do anything for you. And you ought to make sure and give them their treat too. So this guy here, he's thinking, wait a minute, I'm good too. Don't I get a treat? Yes, you want to really make that bond, that connection with the humans and the pellets. So these pellets to llamas are like M&Ms to little kids. Great for bribery. Really gets them to get in to what you want them to do. I always send a baggie bigger than this out with you. It's not part of their nutrition. It's part of breaking or making that bond between you and some llamas. And llamas have never seen you, but that first night in camp, you're going out there giving them pellets. You are the best human in the world because you are just giving them the treats they like best. And then if down the road somebody slips their line at night, or you drop the lead rope and they wander a little bit away, you just pull out the pellets and they are right there in your pocket.